kono sakuna Gambia ngulu. Adinga nyomuna kanoni mbadi ya dogo. Wale bekairo sabatinila.
In his government's effort to foster national unity, encourage tolerance, and accept our diversity, His Excellency President Adama Barrow called for the national dialogue, including engaging leaderships of registered political parties without exception or discrimination. The aim of the dialogue is to find common ground on economic, social, and political issues. On the 12th February 2024, leaders of 19 registered political parties, including independent candidates and the ruling party, took part in the national dialogue, which started with a political dialogue at the State House in Banjul to reflect on the theme, collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, securing our resources. The Gambian leader, President Adama Barrow, outlines the significance of the dialogue.
You may have realized that I have continually called upon my colleagues and fellow Gambians to come together and work in the best interests of the country we dearly love. It is every citizen's responsibility to contribute towards our overall security, peace, and stability, be it in an official or private capacity, as public servants or bona fide citizens. As leaders and public opinion influencers, we have a big stake in the nation. Thus, we also have the huge responsibility of striving to maintain peace and stability. Huge as it may be, we can achieve this by consciously avoiding and diffusing political or social tension through our public engagements with the people.
The President addressed the gathering that it is the collective responsibility of all to preserve the nation, safeguard the state, and secure our resources, or face instability and live in a weak economy.
We live in a world of uncertainty, instability, and insecurity. So we must act collectively and resolutely ahead of any potential unrest or calamity. We are blessed in the Gambia with positive social norms and values that can always bring us together and help us to preserve our warmth and brand as the smiling coast of Africa.
The dialogue created a platform for all political leaders to discuss positive steps in resolving controversial issues. Thus, the importance cannot be underestimated.
Your Excellency, we are very much pleased and honored to participate in this dialogue of political parties initiated by you. And we say thank you very much, Mr. President, for calling such a gathering. We must commend the efforts for organizing this dialogue that we believe will be about mutual understanding and trust among us as stakeholders.
We must accept that the issue of land is becoming a threatening national security issue that needs to be discussed by everybody, so that at the end of the day, the government of the Gambia would do what
regular migration and improve youths and women employment.
Special urgency that should be attached to the consideration of the area of resource management to look out for possible improvements in that direction.
The issue of religious coexistence must be an issue that we have to address. When Pope John Paul came to this country, when he looked back at the central mosque he saw when he was at the St. Augustine, he asked, what is that? They told him it was a church. He said, I have never seen a central church, such a religious country, opposite a grand mosque. And that he praised the Gambia for being very religious. We cannot destroy that. We must make sure security and stability is key in our governance system.
I believe all of us together we can make a change. a change for better Gambia, we have to protect our women, our children, and our sovereignty as a nation.
His Excellency Adama Barrow mangla ñaan mbootu bi da ngay gën a yaatul mun naa laa dimbale ma ñëwal la mbootu yokkal la mbootu bi nga boot ñëpp xalaat ñëpp amal ñëpp yërmande boole ñëpp ci liggéey bi su boobaa rek wagon bi nga ubbi moto bi nga.
It should be tapped into as a source of strength for us to tolerate, appreciate, and empathize with one another. In this way, all citizens would have the opportunity.
Unity, political tolerance, and a shared destiny. As a result, he established the National Dialogue Preparatory Committee, comprising representatives from a cross-section of institutions and organizations in the country to coordinate the activities leading to a National Dialogue Forum. The institutions include members of National Council for Civic Education, PURA, Supreme Islamic Council, the Christian Council, Tango, Writers Association of the Gambia, Gambia Press Union, National Council for Civic Education, Ministry of Gender, Interparty Committee, and the University of the Gambia.
I have directed the committee to work on this National Consultative Forum to encourage and stimulate reflection and dialogue on selected national issues to promote, protect, and nurture peace and stability in our democracy.
The dialogue focuses on 6 thematic discussions covering the political environment, religious tolerance, ethnic diversity, sovereign security, safeguarding the media, and irregular migration. A consultative forum was held on the 14th February 2024, where members of the preparatory committee discussed with key stakeholders and identify concerns and recommendations on the thematic areas. The Barrow administration ought to continue bridging the space between different actors and foster a subculture of communication and collaboration. Hence, on February 16, 2024, the Barrow administration formed the first ever inclusive National Dialogue Forum, a day event convened around 500 key Gambian stakeholders from across the civil and political spectrum to exchange views and address major challenges in the country, aimed at fostering consensus and reconciliation and building a shared vision for the future.
We need to strengthen our dispute resolution mechanisms, whether they are formal or traditional, in order to promote stability in the community. Social media has been wielded as a tool to propagate toxic political rhetoric, which, as mentioned earlier, undermines the interests of the perpetrators' political parties rather than advancing their cause.
It is our responsibility, all of us collectively, to teach this generation and the ourselves in the face and tell ourselves, for the Gambia, we will ever be true.
We need a constructive dialogue to communicate to each other, put our differences on the table to build understanding and consensus. It is the ethic of dialogue to respect the other opinion according to the rule that says, my opinion is correct and may be wrong, and the opposite opinion is wrong but may be correct.
This is the reason for strengthening our institutions, enforcing the laws of the land, and developing policies to guide our relationships. We are a decent people and a nation bound by destiny to live and work together. It must not surprise anyone, therefore, that the theme for this year's Independence Day's anniversary celebration is a call for us to respond to our collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. The task is for us as political leaders, stakeholders, and citizens to find ways and means of positively translating this broad theme into action.
Rapporteurs from various thematic teams presented key recommendations discussed at the consultative forum.
To integrate civic and cultural education, and this aims to educate people about their own and other cultural practices, fostering understanding and respect among the people. And also to expand education, civic education, to the lower grades, as we understood that the civic education is already introduced in our curriculum at the higher level.
We recommended for gender parity, and in this country we usually say it is a country of all Gambians, but in fairness, women continue to be left behind. And I think those are issues that we also highlighted so that we can get that. So the other point was economic management, the borrowing. We need to start thinking about that. You know, who's going to pay it? Yes, we're going to have investment and all that, but who's going to pay that? The future is also thinking about that. But also we talked about strengthening the productive sector of the country. We don't need to import food. We can produce our own food. And usually we talk about this country being a poor country, but I disagree. You cannot have a 80-kilometer coastline and a full river, and half of it which is fresh water, and yet still we continue to be poor. So we said that we need to strengthen the productive sectors of this economy, and that require people working.
Few months later, the preparatory committee briefed His Excellency President Adama Barrow with the report of the first phase of the national dialogue at the State House in Banjul. Key among the recommendations were:
the key findings was that in Group 1, it was the political environment for sustainable peace and stability, corruption and public sector reform. So here, the recommendation was to introduce the draft constitution, and Group 2 on religious tolerance for social cohesion. Here, the first recommendation was that the Muslims and Christian councils should establish an inter-religious committee to deal with partisan matters and for a proper structured system to be put in place for inter-religious dialogue. Civic education in the school curriculum to include religious tolerance with the proper training and monitoring of the teaching of religious education by the proposed inter-religious committee for the strengthening religious education across the board. And that the government empowers the Muslim and Christian councils financially and legally to give clearance for visiting teachers and for the registration of churches and mosques to be done upon the recommendation of the state councils. And then the next group is ethnic diversity for national unity. And the key findings is the importance of civic and cultural education, the need for zero tolerance policy against ethnic discrimination. The recommendations are that the zero tolerance policy creates a strong stance against discrimination based on ethnicity or any other factor, thus sending a message of inclusivity. Awareness creation to educate the public about the value of ethnic diversity, promote cultural norms and values, open discussion of the caste system, address the challenges related to the challenges that is associated to it, and as a caste system in order to promote equality and justice. The next group, which is Group 4, security, sovereignty, safeguarding stability and well-being. Here the government should complete all reforms. Here we're talking about the security reform, elections, etc., and implement all the recommendations of the commissions and work on the draft constitution. And then Group 5, the media and safeguarding of the democratic space. The key findings here are finding financial challenges and lack of media accountability. And their plea as a recommendation is that the government should allow subvention to private media in order for them to address financial challenges and enhance their effectiveness, enhance support to media capacity building initiatives, expedite the repeal of.
We have a new constitution and that will be part of the third republic.
After the first phase of the national dialogue, it was recommended to engage with grassroots communities to ensure nationwide participation. Under the coordination of the Office of the President, its officials and members of the National Dialogue Preparatory Committee visited 45 districts across the country. The Director of Press and Public Relations, Ami Bojansi Soho, is the coordinator of the National Dialogue. In the beginning of July 2024, Regional consultative forums were conducted to build an inclusive society where voices of all segments, especially the provincial people, are included in the process of policy making. 6 teams spread throughout the regions and simultaneously engage communities.
This other phase that we are having is the second phase of that national dialogue. This one is a regional consultation, and the idea is to also have people at the grassroots to also have an input into the ongoing conversation because it is called a national dialogue, so it should have a national dimension that everybody in this country should have an opportunity to take part in the conversation to discuss about national issues, development issues, or even peace and security issues in the country.
And this is to bring the peoples in the regions together. The format is we are going district by district. One group is in West Coast and we'll be covering Banjul and KM. We have another group at Central River Region, another group Lower River Region, and one Upper River Region. And when we get the inputs of the people, then we would input their opinions in the draft, and then that would now be transformed to a final report of the national dialogue.
The program aims to enable local people to come together and engage in a dialogue, decision-making, and ways to tackle local challenges together. Leaders at the regional levels played a critical role in the dissemination processes, from governors to chiefs and village heads. Follow me as we go to get the community voices from the regions. Let's hear their key concerns and recommendations.
Party leaders yi man ñom lay waxal comme que supporters yeb dañ leen nangul dégal leen kon ku nekk war nga waxal sa parti supporter jikko bu mu wara am
rog la ñim fanna akana bala fa cije ye mango mem muta kola ya tamandi luwa ya tamandi jame parce que fotale amunta fota ate banna barentela joya miroto ndanga mira ñin kalabante abe kana ñin tanko ñin drog la ko la parce que tete sila bi mbedame ngamurota ngani so murola on dalil kamma
banku be ko almbe nga wuru nga ko sementu yende a political difference bon damal tema mbebe dafin kero damal sabata kan banko
kol jembat amaton mina hajo hay polal gotal walli nakaton tukuno fo nattinama mina men kebana hay gotal si lady ndi essence mina son hay wonde ko sansi ala.
Then land issue is our major challenge today. The governor say it, I can say it that too, that in my office we have more land issues than any other. To minimize this, we have to be very, very strict on how lands are acquired, and the alcalos also have to be very careful whom they sign a document for.
When it comes to agriculture, most of the youths, the reason that they are not going because there is no mechanized farming. And once we have this thing, most of the youths will come back. Because the farming implements, if we have them in our regions, we will all cooperate and work hard towards to have self-food sufficiency.
Electoral law reform la ni law ko to min ya lo ke man beti alu aja wolom ha to nya le bijele bari nkadia mun min ya lo de ban ni law da te min wajibi ya ka dawo mo lo kan ka fo yin min ne fekata mo min bije ma lo law min bije sa ko fa beti agre fa men beti ma lo mo den tan ne kasi karanalu ngalu alu jibe ngada ko yin beti ata mo to yani so bo mu problem mo te fo mo lo salon min be kere janni bala beti anala beti bali alon and womu problem wol ye dino la ko fojan ko dina dun kelu tema puru nga nyomboy nga ke kilintin to lomba kilin fatin womu ko kende baadi adun nte alhamdulillah Gambia religious tolerance ma mirajo ngobe dunia kon bi man so malonde adun kombo south wo ma mirado la fo diverse woti bari même problème woti jang même mo toñaati cristiano be sirine de e man problème so misiri mo ni cristiano mon problème so Gambia la problème o misiri mo da male problème so wo nimbe hanyina toña fala wala mo ika o dorone moy wolle be ñoo no ma doron wolle be problème o crête kan doron bari muslim mo ni cristiano do religious tolerance ntolle be siri ñoo ka man problème so cristiano kunda problème to da mal tema problème mo ben da mal de tema et quand même faut pour ka National Assembly ye malon Cristiano le mo kije Messi le mo le mo kije wota me national assembly malala lo hako because ngamen fon tola loi Gambia la loi wala mo religious tolerance na song na neutral dino kono dino kana nyamuru mbe ko le minu kala si faram fansi tije wala mo nyinte sio kana nyamuru mbe ko le minu kala ni sarati silanko ite ta sijana ite be indina kande to national assembly kade namu ite kadina kade besen tonya wori news neutrality fo ma woso toleba ninga wodu lije de constitution fo na luwa mi bi jenka wala buluka so ntema mira wo waista okay ni wo keta abina kila ndamal tema problem press freedom unsontala bari press le fana nyimba ko tinyade adun training abeta ta back ka press no train bari training buka attitude fari hani wakata la jelde yemo train nyawonya ala attitude remains the same abe funtilale so mimbe kala wala mu luwale be lala nyim kuoto purun kana nyoto ye mote bulano la molno kaybe bani ne be kajafila ibe do luju kan sa wala funtindira iman tuskele because ya be no le ko be kajande ibe do kay do ning wandi muso do ka fula nyoma femman ke woto ke no la luwale be lala je nimmi ku ka jawma kuluro e lekan ngadaha luwale nyanta dole min nyanta pati pati leaders do forcela o pati olu ida pati ibe mol min do de jim percentage nyanta kala muso ni wonda te ke no la ha nyim percentage be kala muso 2% lum 3% lum 1% lum 20% lum because if you understand 53% one at representation ke 1% wo nyaka staldi wo hada ma fo man so wala yo baraka baka sajim bada na jani
ko luwa da poti ko fana yeba li tambi da sarto la ñin be lalé
ñin président o tata buru yo kanye président o jahi minto buru
be birin penke swami dulame yele swami ye dulame yele je barana planté
ko gudi do don dulare ndewo
nata lota je
ari dari laari
dinno la mun di nyaawo nyan
yo ko cukayel
bari ngaje ko yi lundangol nara na bango ka
hoɓɓe ngari e leydi men
ole banano produce me alongo Gambia della jambe sa sotono
wiyo hoɓɓe ngari e leydi e ɓe leggi banana mo ganduɗa fotta Gambia fof
Gambia fondinjole ɓe dow ko kay je
ɓiɓɓe Gambia tan liggoto e on gaadi
bari ni ka pindi je ñaani musoli ka al palfele alni
je a funta he on gaadina a fiɗɗete ha ande a sekkani banana e
balla agriculture sector walla nam ministry ite o ñongo lolantelle bang
ndien laamu o haɗi laranay na on ni palasi
lanna ñawola bang janni wandi mo ba lolantelle fontel fomota lola bang
yo ho enen ɓen en mbawta ɗum darnude ɗo
imam kolon sing
oyndu asaka
e ba na baji olay ka woleta
ko ndiyam maayo ɗam ɓe ƴeftata
andum dolle tam
ko enen nguuɗi
bat ni tata jigi tel ko ngañaw baji olay dolle tam
yo ka en non jahi ton nan ko ɗum ɓe mantorta
ndiyam tata wandi bango do luntango
yo hoɓɓe ɓe
nindel tata wandi bango to ngake luntango
enen en jahi e leydele janane ko hoɓɓe
tan bango mol kanan na bango kay ka projet ol dele ngake luntango tewol fanan ko
yo yimɓe jana ɓe ngara he mudita projet ji gonen ne nden on projet
Gambia diya ana faali
yo nden wonde ɓiɓɓe Gambia hoɗum
ali ngatira e mon say sero
tolla police kunda jang tanko bunda en tol dasal parce que tolla police ol jam moto e wol dasal moto darta ni mamman keta janni police ol ba fele bitawot ibe katano de katum poli jorangal tebulje anu motol tebulje ibe mol walina minna mobul ken sago ka mo walino sako mambil long anin mimbeji ha wentol dasa nyum bankun kan ndol lañu foñ wenda salade al suwa kalamta baake ko wentol dasal andu o minye mira baleti
masamanya nasona anin moy kambe anin moy dia corruption ola ni ake drong ye kirinde loi men fo ya tamande ko kana balafa moy kana mo nyakono jube ni mo ye tinyaro ko masakunda kono akana ngomela akana balafela akana terea jube ye loi tamande kan ni loi men fo ya kela
kulle nde sukere
agoni kasaye to kasaye nyaka boyo
dum fotan haala Egypt
o manyana ta ka fo Egypt
ɗum ko référendum fonno waɗ
akoye ñanta o kala référendum leti ñin banko kam
ɗum ɓuuri député ɓe tan haalde ɗum
awo ñin tambita député dolna fo kan wala ñin banko kam
référendum ɗum fonno waɗa e Gambia laare hoɓe kala ɓurnuɓe ɗum waɗe
ako ñanta ka référendum walati ya juuɓe Gambia ni men o men siyata e men fo yewoke
kono yimɓe dadan tangguiteɗo ɓe jaa Égypte
mo sabadoron bonne ye samba Égypte
ɓe mbiya ko ɗum waɗete
iko ɓe ñini kela
ɗum ne ko jam
ako fo mbal ñinin kala fo fana mo kayra leydi ba
ɗum wona jam
wo manque kayrati
ɗum ko huule leydi fof
ako banko bele taw
ɗum ɓe ponno waɗ
i ñanta wolet kela
neɗɗo wawi ha kikiɗe neɗɗo wawi haal ha kikiɗe
ako asi diyamuno ja fo wuraɗo yata momanji diya
kono tawi mi wawa ɗum haal
ako ni a jata fo nola
komi loo
a kam fatale
goɗɗi ɗum yejjital
a doka aka ñina dole
te wona min tan leɓata
ako hakkille man ñanna diyamu
mi fonndi ɗo
aya dandi jam
turoli ka natinan jane baraka letile akatal fo samayata fo abina banna turo e nana wo ceta sénégal labata ku baleti jorangol masoto han kabi dolbe je man fiire ce folo seno gambe jang ana fa batale andu ni seno sotota balwo sotota banko be tankunale lafta mena wala nyinti alisa fo masakunda ye mol ma ko jorangol la wala munti taraki tol yesi molla wallahi ngani diamo men ceteng ni balwo sotota dawoda wala cocote sotol
musoli ñi ñata wol kono nakuma sabanjang wala mu ñinti mamo yi barin sali fa fotan ko ma fanan barin sali dani ñi naltol min nata musolu ila miro be janjandi mbake ñin kam mako ñin sira fa min be banko kan muso na di mu wanso muskila di wodi njarta hen hanna fota dinkil na kamunta fe dunya balu ko ñin doni bantara aka de ubake kela ka nyora di wala ka fa nga musdo so medin do so bar muso ka bata di wala ñin ta maslo mi be kerin teng to nyala na kayro le nim ala mo mo futandi na kayro le babal bar janna mari ba fule nan futatal ali ya ne muskunda ka dewo min asada bonta borin ta kumbonte abe ka tarlare musolla kata ñin sira fa mi be kerin dukar ala do ko kale ñin kala do ko to nyame
trakitol ngam foton to nyalom trakitol dol bi jay binala jang hani hectare tang ati senela sate ko o trakito na panta ati tamanola mota dadano ye muruna ye ma koy joram mesengol to wolom ñin ni dabol ni e ma koy akete nyawnya sate dol bi yele ni per sababi je ni e senera ngosoto hani la farol to jani pawati la vitale wala fenko bitale mbala burela woye manke bakeli ite sola la trakitola kaduna farol buga hectare tansi hectare 30 by 20 15 fara kili se somanda kili jandi ba fala 12 watra fara woro biti yeta yi tuturoke wo jora mesengol mbe sola te la le mansa kunda e mako wo jora mesengol to as wolli sem support jandin trakitol kana hani trakitol bina o batar la janda be futla sate dol to be da mintek o batar la wol sama jam fata bare jari ba do mando may ni rawo jora mesengol la jandin trakito bi futala dolma wala
me masakunda dani la minna
oy ko nyago do lamu
loptanol to
oy loptanu jiri
borol
lekki
parce que say loptano bi taka nyami
oy jon loptano yaratani
ndella molbe tora kanne de
yimbe meden na hen lorano bete
ni aje ngawo fo
sa yo wi non
ni tata loptan
sa yehi loptan
ni koy mankende ya
sa wi ya selladi
ni koy ta loptan
be ma ya lobitan
e kamune fo
ko dum bitama
ni tata loptan ite boro soto
sa yehi a hepta lekki
ikatara siri suol kono
be jodo to galleji to
ikata jambol kati
be jaabe kelto ya
ibo jambol tale be fajundila
ko na ko be pasna
adi mala wo jambo abe mun torale balo ban
ko na ko lorata
lopita ni tata je
sa yehi lopita
ni e check
so be checki
hani atara imsa sami bela
hay so tay muslim
e ba fo nole tayta boro san
ma ya so do inde
bari mbe mol danila
bono mo nyago yimbe
fengo fenni sasata
kala ko fawa
kana jibe ka fo loptano ma boro soto
wata jew loptan hebande
ake ala kan kila kan alin kata loptano
jaha lopitan
sako malo
ako mani boto
ñaari junne ak ñaar téeméer
ako mani boto wuli pula keme pula
ako diminta ba kesenela to de
amula doom jo dem bitim rew
ako imam mosoto membe tubabu du
ndax bay ngosi rek
ako itabe jikiru pen na fo seno doro
metti ci doom adama yi
ako diminta hadama dimo to de
nguur gi
ako man sakunda
nañ dimbale nit ñi
ako ye mol ma koy
diko dalé katon ba koy na
ako ka dati katon fo koy na
dara ñew
ako fentije
ndox muñ naan sax
ako jombe fambe memmin
du do na area kan soli
na manke area kan lol
ñu de suñ dëkk tay
ako itolla sato de bi
ñoy naan ndox
ako naaje jomi
bol buñ naan
ako borobe memmin
area kan soli ñuko
ako area kan sul ko lew nati masakunda mol mako soksidi mi alanko akala jammando dakan yo faran samana mba yala mano dakan niyo ke mano kan tumando mano nin domor fanglo wol faran se tala domande
ete mumu politicien be sira nyinola dukare tiling ibe londo soto fanna munto ya foko ninde tata be nyine kela ima londi soto fanna munto kana o foy kana mol nene ko lafta sira ngola
politiko ni Gambia jan sa ay bata ku jamale nati katu ite nyaka jele ite be monoma ite yaron ko be on no ya je yala wulal beta e bunya e horma ite kallo ikela wululata ikawo ngai bota ka be ke bantoto katu mune woti ibe lola ibe munnenna wo metene wonde nenna wotela alpha nenna ite be alpha nenna ite ko be politique walla ndema mira angen taka jare moyo wolela andum ibe bulala monoma tubando ite be bulala mo munnoma ite no be mu kutilu de Gambia ja bidin katon fo koy na be mu kilmulet ni dawudan dimba be mu bakilim fa kilmulet so ndanga be ngen taka jola mu te mari be dawudan di support la yes support bara amanjare nyoti yani nyo kuma nyo aja fola na politiko alinga wonno ma ngadoko mo man sida mansala yasindi president mansala kasini ngabula wonno ma ni balle fo ala kasindi ni wala fo mario fanana ilafta munna itadi je fani lumbe na masata lakino fana ya ta ya di won
ani momum be na ta jam am content bu baax ci ako a content ba ke ñim bindi to na wax di de ako kumoñi dafa ñew pour dumbalante ñun rek kumoñi beta na nata pour ngana nga ñodema parce que naka ngay def ba bu jaar yoonu suuf ibe fere jonne kila du kare kanata ñin ko ma silola so deme yow ya fay def ni de tata itele be batala jeeto ban pexé lañ wara def ba duñ ci aw mbe fere jonne tala pour kanata ñin ko ma silola ku ñew di ci waxtaan ak yow foog na dafa bëgg la dumbale momo nata ka o kumo foye woto ñanta lo na wala tete de malale te guddi yi tollu ni dafa bari lool ñin temben ak wobe siyaari mbakele ci biir rew banko kan jang ñun nguur gi dañ ñu wara jappalé man sa ñanta bulo lola je domandi naka la ñoo jappalé ba li wañi be mol mutala woto ñaadi le nañ ñu ubbe training centers ay dulalu yele dami yallon dinnun se do ko gewo gis nga ndaw yi suñ amé lu ñe fu ñe tay ni dinniwul ye dula soto i ñanta sorla dami ye fen soto di fe xey di am lu ñe yobul seen way juri i ka sori je i ka fendin soto i ka sayndi suwo ko def yoonu sa gannaaw bi yëpp dana wàññee ñing ko ma siloobe talala baake de waaye su loolu amul ni amu man soto xale yi dinañ jëm yoonu suuf bi de dindiwul foye finti dorong waaye suñu nguur gi jàppale ni man sa ya bu loolu ñe woto domandi ñi am skill centers ye soto jang ba nga xam ne ndaw yi suñu jógee dinañ mën a dem jàng métier foofu dindiwul se wilino yeta métier o karam woto domandi yeneen nit yi itam am xëy bu nga xam ne dinañ mën a def xaalis ci seen poos non moo dool se sorino jeeye ko dindin soto baakele la jiiboo kono loolu de dina baax lool woɓe dindiwul deemala sukaaɓe ɓe no ɓolol ngolla tampere nde ustono dindiwul ye wuran ye do ko ke batabe talala kono han sayi biddo mada jeen to faro ni ko yidi mo ngata faro te go faro jamdi nin do de kayrobe nyim faro ko man sakunda ono wallu yimbe be taratoji yama ngari do kono hay hikka gari do di he pawatila jino peccirani fo mojjani he yimbe bari akadina min adinya man ko ani do man kam monu nyala tombo ka di mo kilinna ide haji solo la mumbala si tawi woni ari wallude yimbe fobbe baydolobe be ko ben pata feccede ko feccete ko kono si woni ko yimbe hebbe haadi paride ko ben feccete ko feccete ni dragi do na yaji be mo yanyen tundo be dan jan sembola ya karfa woma
وديو نفالي
وان أكبر على نفا
النفا وديو
كل من جاهم كل لام وندما هن بايدولو بدي كيفي ليدي تقول ليغور بيكونوا بنجلا ماتريه
alsafudandi banko président ken tawn durone be nyim banko ngam woto ni jora on so ID molla mun se dunno wulo kon bari na dita mun yanyi kundo be dal adiro nafatala
no be bakkilo be balla yimbe be si leydi ndi walla ma seeda yimbe be kala jabi wallude koye mumen nafa heɓoto de
ni banko ya dema banko mol fana ye son dema rola de fanal ye fan dema abe nafa natile banko kan
kono wona yi fayda compagnie ji ɗiɗi tampini yimɓe ɓe he leydi he
compagnie lu siyata fa tambita
kono kala nafa garɗo ko peccel naɓete feccere wata nde fof yimɓe jiita
The media played a critical role in influencing public perception towards sustainable peace and development. To amplify the voices of the rural communities, the media reported on the significance of the dialogue and made it inclusive.
Following the successful launch of the National Dialogue by His Excellency President Adama Barrow on February 12, 2024, regional stakeholders are finally meeting for a consultative forum extending the dialogue to stimulate participation in 6 thematic areas covering agriculture, migration, media, religions, politics, and education. This regional consultation provides a platform for grassroots voices to discuss and find solutions to critical national issues on the theme which is bang on our collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources.
Overall, the Barrow administration blew a historic chance to create a new and inclusive society based on shared values and mutual respect. The project has a fair chance of succeeding and paving the way for lasting peace and prosperity, since the notion of the dialogue has gained momentum not just among the participants, but also with the wider public. The Chief of Staff, Office of the President, shares the Presidency's next step in incorporating the voices from the regional dialogue in the government's National Development Plan through its programs and policies.
Is actually now to reflect fully those views into the report, and this report will now be submitted to His Excellency the President and his cabinet to take into account, broken into thematic areas. For those that require policy consideration and formulation, they will be transferred and made into policy considerations. Those that require legislative amendments or legislative consideration would be processed as such and made into to law or regulation, as it were. In particular, we take recognition of the fact that Gambians are yearning for the new constitutions that will take into account most of the aspirations of Gambia in the area of legislation as currently being considered in the new draft. The last part would be the recommendation to institutionalize the process itself. Institutionalization means that we need to have this on a regular basis, national dialogue, then why not also political dialogue, why not cultural dialogue, to the extent that nations are built on the basis of exchange of ideas and knowledge. It requires all Gambians and friends of the Gambia to have a say in the way and manner we are governed and in the way and manner our country resources are utilized. We are all very much aware of the wise, smart team of national dialogue for which there was general concession that we need to rally Gambians to talk about. It's important at this stage of our nation that people are called together, especially our leaders, to discuss matters that are of concerns, that are important and that are critical. Then together we can then find the solutions which then will translate into our various documents at various levels and implemented. So back to my point, in terms of institutionalization, the starting point is after recognizing the need to have this frequency and periodic meetings, we would then also identify institutions who are critical stakeholders and assign specific teams and specific responsibilities to monitor and to report on. And the Gambian people should and must be carried along, and the only way we can carry them along is to report back to them.
It is a positive move for government to initiate the national dialogue and for Gambians to openly embrace the initiative and take ownership of. Indeed, Gambians have proven that we acknowledge that what binds us as a nation is stronger than what divides us. As we continue to monitor and follow up on the recommendations, I am Mabinta Koli. Keep dialoguing, for we have a collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources.
Alamantuna gairo kono sakuna Gambia ngudwe.